was important for me to have this meeting with you face to face as to not misinterpret what I wish to communicate. Now, based on the veiled threats that you made publicly against me and my organization, I believe you think because I'm both a woman and a person with a disability that somehow gives you power over me. That could be further from the truth. You see, Senator, power is measured by the weight of sin your conscience can bear. And to speak candidly, I will never be intimidated by a man who chooses to believe fiction over fact. If you vote no on that bill when it hits the floor Tuesday morning, I will not only set out on a crusade to decimate you and your family, but I will ensure that your legendary career in this town ends in shame and ridicule. Like me, you'll be crippled, except you'll be on your knees begging for my mercy. Do not test the limits of my power. Protect your family and your feeble reputation by voting yes. Thank you for your time.
This older lady came in to see me once. I think her name was Doris. I remember thinking how sad she looked. Sort of walked into the shop like she was interrupting something, her eyes kind of empty, just wearing her grief like a heavy winter coat. She didn't say much to me, just that she had just lost her best friend and hadn't been out of the house in weeks. I took her to my chair, sat her down, and washed her hair with warm water, and she started to cry. I think that the human contact after so many weeks alone was just too much for her to bear. Even when I cut her long auburn hair, the tears kept falling. Like the hair I was cutting was part of some memory that was too hard to let go. I blew dry her hair. I ran a brush through it, giving it a nice, understated style. And when I spun her around and let her look at herself in the mirror, the smallest smile just grew across her face, and it lit up the entire salon. I'll never forget that smile. You know, some people like to think that what I do isn't important, but I like to think in some way I'm helping people get a fresh start on life.
Now, ma'am, before you jump to any conclusions, let me ask you a question. At the end of the day, what matters most to you? Now, I want you to really think about that question, because right now I think things are being slanted and oversimplified. Because understand this, out there, no matter what the media tells you, there is no black and white. No pun intended. There's a hell of a lot of gray. And that's why we have rules, procedures, because we don't assume anything about anyone. We want to give everyone a chance to, at the end of the day, get home to the things that matter most to them. Now again, I told this guy to put his hands over his head and get down on the ground. He chose to keep his hands by his side and continue to walk towards me. Again, I told him to stop. He chooses to keep walking. Then his right hand disappears behind his back. I give him one more chance to put his hands over his head, and that right hand stays hidden. Now I'm this much farther away from the things that matter most to me. The smell of my wife's hair after a day working at the beauty shop. The sound of my kid bouncing his basketball in the driveway. The taste of an ice-cold beer as I sit on my porch and watch the sun go down. And then he starts to take that right hand out from behind his back, and in this split second, I have to make a choice. Either he walks away from this or I do. And that choice is simple. I gave him choices, many of them. And I'll be damned if this guy's going to be the one to walk away. So I did what I was trained to do, and I upheld the law. If you want to sit there and make this a race issue, you go right ahead. It's black or white. We all make choices, and I am always going to make the choice that gets me home at the end of the day, doing the things that matter most to me. Are we done here?